Hello everyone, it's James from Theresas Sound World. Now this is part 4 of my series of blogs and vlogs which follow 4 episodes of a docuseries by Big Plan Pictures, which is on YouTube, called Shooting Daggers, which follows the DIY hardcore punk band from the US called Dagger, who are having their first US tour. It's a 4-date tour, and each episode follows the respective date in a different city. They are on the road for hours, 40 hours altogether, which is mind-bending for someone like me from the UK, because in 40 hours I can probably go to Spain and back. So they are a very committed hardcore punk band. The filmmaker, Sam Brown, he's very astute in capturing the essence of a DIY band on the road. You have no manager, you have no one to organise you, to ring ahead, to do your bookings, to sort you out. It's up to you and the other members of the band to sort it. And this is exactly what comes through in the filmmaking. It's really well shot, it's high resolution digital, there's no pretension, it's just done in a very straightforward manner. The editing is very sharp and snappy and professional. There's lots of voiceovers over the top of established scenes with dialogue. I think if you're an indie filmmaker, this is a prime example of what you should be doing, and I think you could get quite a lot of inspiration from it. So I think that, like I say, the filmmaker captures the essence of the DIY scene and also the hardcore punk scene, which does have a select audience, really, and it has its own culture and its own identity. The bands themselves involved in each episode, you had various bands apart from Dagger that they play with who do have their own musical identity and their own image, and it's really interesting in this one actually. The band arrive in Oklahoma City on their 4th date after hours of travelling. It's a Sunday night. They're in a deserted area of town. Well, the whole city seems deserted. They're in some kind of sort of semi-industrial area where everything's shut down apart from the venue, which is like a kind of bookstore type place. Now they're playing with another band called Amenaza. I hope I've pronounced that right. And they are a hardcore punk band as well. Now, it's really interesting because just through image and the way they play as well, they're very distinctive to Dagger. Dagger are very much like a modern hardcore US punk band. They dress in what we call hoodies over here, hooded tops, and sort of t-shirts and jeans, and shorter hair, maybe the odd facial piercing and some tattoos. But with this other band, Amenaza, they're very much like classic European punks. They got very colourful leather jackets, spikes, and Dagger described them as being a street punk band. And they do have more of a metal-y sound than a lot of the bands that are involved in this series of episodes. And I think that comes from the origin of hardcore punk being where these bands were influenced by rock, originally hardcore punk bands, and then they influenced thrash metal, and then thrash metal kind of then sub-influenced and kind of influenced the punks again. So it's really nice now that we're in the modern era that these bands are sort of influenced by a multitude of genres and have their own identity. So it's not just all about the music, because you do see an intense performance and you do get the impression that the audience and the bands are experiencing the same intensity. You always get that with DIY bands and punk bands. However, you do get lots of chat, lots of laughs, lots of unexpected weird stuff going on. Amenaza are talking about, I think, from what I could gather, they're approached by probably some middle class kind of mummy's boy drug dealer who's sort of trying to sell them acid. Of course, hardcore punk bands, they never do acid, do they? So they basically tell him where to go. But he's, on the phone asking his mummy whether he can come and stay the night. It's really bizarre things like that you just forget, wouldn't you? But they're captured on video, and it's these nice little touches. Like later on, the bands are bonding over a lively discussion about who invented the hot dog, and it really reminded me of two of my favourite music related films. I mean, this whole series has reminded me of two films in particular. One is 1991, the year punk broke, which follows Sonic Youth, Dinosaur Jr., and Nirvana, and the Ramones and a few other bands on their 1991 European Festival tour, and also DOA, A Rite of Passage, which was shot in the 70s but released in the early 80s, and it follows Sex Pistols, Sham 69, Generation X as UK bands, but also, excuse me, US bands like the Dead Boys. But it doesn't just focus on the bands, it focuses on other people involved, like fans, etc. And I feel that Shooting Daggers and Sam Brown, with his filmmaking, his very skillful filmmaking, has nailed this kind of style where it's not just about the music, it's about the people as individuals, and it makes it even more endearing, really. So anyway, I'd say if you were into punk, hardcore punk, DIY music, regardless of genre, or an indie filmmaker, this is for you, but I'd give it a go anyway. These films are really interesting, these episodes. I think I haven't done this yet, but I've watched them individually, but I think if you watched them all together as a series of 4, you could do it in a show of an hour. It's very interesting. There's a lot of ideas in there, and like I say, so skillfully done. So I'm leaving links to my last 3 blogs and vlogs. There's 1 vlog, there's 2 blogs, and within those are links to all the respective episodes on YouTube of Big Plan Pictures, Shooting Daggers, and within each are links to bands. And on this particular episode in the text, I'm going to be leaving links to Dagger and Amenaza as well, so you can listen to them on Bandcamp. But I've just got my notes here. I just was going to say, the band say their motto really that they've come from this experience is live, laugh and love. And it just is a nice note to end on. So please check it out. Shooting Daggers, Big Plan Pictures, YouTube. Cheers for now.